Hey everybody, let's play some billiards. So on your extra credit, we have the billiards table, or the pool table as it's called. The sides are called the rails or the cushions, and so your goal is to strike the white cue ball with the cue stick, have it travel along a particular path to bounce off one of the cushions, headed in another direction, and then strike the colored ball that is on the table. So one of the things we're going to use to our advantage is the law of reflection, which simply states that the angle an object comes in to a surface and bounces off or reflects off is the same as the angle that it exits. So if we were to put a protractor up here and measure these two particular angles, you can see they are exactly 30 degrees. Yeah, so the ball and the path that it will be coming into the rail here creates a 30-degree angle with the side of the table and the path itself. And again, we see that exit path and the side of the table creating another 30-degree angle to provide that true reflection. Now we are ignoring friction and the roll of the ball, so this is a simplified version of how a pool table would actually work. But it does give us an idea of the situation. So let's do some practice. So number one asks us to find the path where the ball will bounce off of the bottom cushion and then strike the colored ball here. Right, so we're going to hit the cue. It's going to travel along something of a path like this. Right, that's the idea. Bounce it off the bottom and then contact the colored ball here. So we're going to work backwards as our solution technique. And so we're always going to measure the distance from the ball we're going to hit, right, the colored ball, to the particular cushions in the problem here. So one cushion, pretty simple. We're going to measure to the bottom cushion, right? We're 2 vertical units to that bottom cushion here. So we're going to repeat that distance on the other side of the table, right? So we're going off of the table, and we're going to draw what I call a ghost ball, right? Because it's not really on the table. But here we have 2 segments, both of length 2, that we can tick mark congruent. Right? And we'll see those congruent triangles start to show up here. So what we're going to do now is line up your straight edge from the cue ball to the ghost ball, which now shows us the path the cue ball would travel on. I'm going to stop the line when it gets to the table because the cue ball is going to stay on the table, but I will extend the path to show you it would strike the ghost ball. But that point on the table where the cue ball hits is where it will bounce or reflect off and then head directly for the ball we are trying to hit. And that colored ball. So then I'll draw the rest of the path. Right, so this is the exact path that the ball would take, again, using our law of reflection. So let's look for those congruent triangles now. You might start to see here 1 and 2 triangles we can talk about. Since we're using vertical and horizontal grid lines, you're going to get 2 right angles here. So we have a pair of congruent sides, a pair of congruent angles. They have a shared side here in the middle. That reflexive property allows us to mark that congruent. So now in both triangles you have an SAS situations, which means the triangles are congruent, and therefore the rest of their parts are congruent, right? The corresponding parts. So these are 2 angles here that would correspond and be congruent, CPCTC. And then I'm going to look at an angle here, right? This is my entry angle for the cue ball into the side of the cushion. That's actually vertical to one of the angles I just marked. And so vertical angles are always equal. I can double mark that. And now what you're seeing right here is the angle in equals the angle out for our cue ball. Right? We are using that law of reflection because of some congruent triangles that you can find. We won't always draw the congruent triangles, but it is why our method is working here. So how about off the bottom again? Right? So measure the colored ball to the bottom, 2 units. Repeat that on the other side. Get our ghost ball off the table. Right? Connect to that ghost ball, right, draw to the edge of the table. That's where the cue ball will bounce off and head directly for the ball we want to make contact. Here we're going off the right, so we'll measure to the right cushion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, always reproduce that distance for your ghost ball. Line it up. Draw, stop at the table. Bounces off and makes contact. Right? And then one more, how about off the top? Right? So we're 1 unit away from the top of the colored ball. we'll go 1 unit beyond. There's our ghost ball. We draw to the ghost ball until we hit the side of the table. We bounce off and make direct contact with the colored ball. On the back, a little more challenging, we're going to hit 2 rails and then the colored ball here. So I want to hit the bottom rail and then the right. So off the bottom, off the right, and then contact, right? So something like this will be our general path. Right? So now it's more important that we focus on working backwards because there's 2 rails involved, right? So the first one I'm going to measure to is the last one I'm going to hit, right? So the right. And we're always measuring the colored ball. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, now notice I've made a little number 1 here. That's just going to help me reconnect my ghost balls in the correct order to get the true path. Right, so that's the first one I did. I will label it here to know that's the one when I want to bounce off the right side. Then we're going to find the ghost ball for the bottom of the table. Important that we always work from the last ghost ball. Right, so we're not going back on the table. We're measuring from the ghost ball here. I'm going to extend the bottom of the table. So our ghost ball here would be 1, 2, 3 vertical units away, and so we're going to repeat that 1, 2, 3 vertical units below the table. Right, and that's my second ghost ball. Those are the only 2 rails we want to hit, so now I'm going to connect in the original order, right? So I'm going to go to the bottom, number 2 first, and then the right, number 1. So we'll line up our straight edge to ghost ball number 2. Draw until we reach the edge of the table. This is where it would bounce off, and now I had to ghost ball 1, right, to make contact with the right side of the table. And this is where I would bounce off and then hit directly for the ball we want to hit. I'm going to jump down to 11. For our last example here, we're going to go off the top and then the bottom, so we work backwards. So the first thing I want to measure is distance to the bottom. 2 units that I repeat, ghost ball number 1, and then to the top. So again, working from the ghost ball position, how far are we from the top? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's do that same distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You might also want to separate your problems, or label better to know which ghost balls go where, because some are going to get pretty far away. And then we connect them in the original order, right? So top first, connect to my ghost ball number 2 first. Line them up, draw, stop at the table. Then the ghost ball number 1. Stop at the table. And connect to the ball we want to make contact with. Would help if that was on the screen. There it is. Your extra credits is the other sheet where you're going to hit all 4 rails before you make contact with the colored ball. Good luck.